Welcome back to Niche Marketing Monopoly, Million Dollar Business Positioning. Again, I am Paul Rhines, your host and the creator of the program. I do want to welcome you back, and this is Module 12 that we're moving into here, Closing the Deal. This is a really cool module because we're going to get into actually translating all of this stuff to money and the things that are required to be able to do that, particularly from how you communicate your message to your audience. And we're going to be looking at a few different variations on selling, sales, and closing sales, a couple of different variations of actual sales closing processes as well. I'm going to give you as much as I can given the space and time that I've got within this training program. This is not by any means a full training seminar that's going to give you all that you need to be able to be successful as a master closer. I do teach those programs, but this isn't it. However, because of the nature of this training program, I did want to make sure that you had basic understandings regarding what's required to close the deal and turn those people that do see your message into paying clients. And so that's my goal for you in this part of the program, and it's all about money. So at its most basic level, closing is always a question followed by an action instruction, not a request. And I'll illustrate this with the question, do you have a watch, versus the question, what time is it? What time is it is a direct question. Asking somebody if they have a watch may mean that you want to know what time it is, but it's not being direct about what it is that you're seeking. So asking somebody what time it is a very different question than asking somebody if they have a watch. Commonly, because I like making people aware of these distinctions, if somebody asks me if I have a watch, I simply reply yes and go on with what I was doing. I want them to be aware of the fact that they didn't actually ask for what it was that they wanted. So be direct. The next thing to understand is that people buy based on what they want, not what they need. Now that's an important distinction because there are a lot of things that people need and that they should get or take care of, but in all likelihood they don't, because they first take care of or get those things that they want more than those things that they need. This is just a basic understanding of human buying decision processes, and it clearly has been demonstrated over the course of centuries. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it, but just understand that people buy based on what they want, not what they need. A follow-up to this understanding is that people buy based on emotion, not logic. And those two facts actually tie together pretty closely because people think about what they need logically. People buy what they want because it feels good and it's an emotional process. So the two really tie very closely together. And ultimately, it comes down to the fact that people buy based on feelings. Now, how do you generate the feelings that make people want to buy should be the next question. So what we're going to look at is, what is closing built on or based on? And closing is based on three things in particular. It's relationship, value, and benefits. Those are the three components that you really need to have in place in order to get somebody to make a buying decision or become a paying client. Now, the best way to go about doing that is to clearly define what it is that they're buying and sell and close on value, not on dollars. So what that actually translates to is this. You're going to tell them what it is that they're getting in a way that builds value. You're not going to tell them what they're getting in a way that is driven by the need to save money or get a good price on whatever it is that you're offering. So an example of that would be that you're getting an entire system here that will support you in being able to achieve the outcomes that it is that you want by joining my program. You're going to have access to my full support team, and believe me, these people are experts at being able to help people exactly like you get from where it is that they are to where they want to be. You're also going to receive my one-on-one coaching, and that's just a newly added component of the program where we get together on a weekly call, and so you can see how this builds out. You can continue on with, you're going to get access to a private Facebook group, access to all of the videos and podcasts. You're going to get the free guide and 2 tickets to the webinar, live event, and ultimately, and that's where you insert your bigger picture. So what we're doing here is demonstrating value by stating clearly what it is that your clients are going to get by becoming involved with you. And ultimately, that leads to your bigger picture, which then starts to stir those emotional feelings and needs. In doing this, a significant byproduct of the whole process is that you're going to differentiate yourself from everybody that's out there, and there is going to be no competition because of the way that you've approached this and because of the sense that you have for your audience and their needs and the way that you've connected with them. Again, you want to sell on value, not on price. Now, when you are telling them what it is that they're going to get, you want to tell them what the value of all of those things are. You want to introduce what's called a Pact Price, and that's the price that would be paid if the maximum purchase price that those items sell for today if they were purchased individually. So if they got access to the entire system, my full support team, my one-on-one coaching, the Facebook private group, access to all of the videos and podcasts, a free guide, 2 tickets to the webinar or live event, all of that, I would go through those in detail each individually. You're going to get access to an entire system here that's going to X, Y, and Z, and that system has a value of $974.87. You're going to get access to my full support team. That means 24/7 round the clock, and that has a value of my one-on-one coaching. Generally, I charge X number of dollars for a one-on-one consultation. You're going to get that included in the program. You're going to get access to the private Facebook group, which really is one of the biggest values of the whole thing, because that's where all of the people that are going through the program get together and share all of those ideas. And that is really a priceless benefit that's included in this. You're going to get access to all of the videos and podcasts. The videos in Volume 1 sell for X number of dollars. The Volume 2 videos sell for this. The podcasts are available on download through Apple iTunes right now, and we're including all of those, including all of the ones that have been available only to VIP members through our iTunes channel. The 2 tickets to our live event or the webinar is going to cost this much. And so you go through the entire thing and you introduce this Pact Price by telling them this sells for this sells for this, you can buy this online right now for this, and if you were to hire me to do this, this is what it would cost, and you add that all together to create your Pact Price of $5,798 or whatever it comes out to. And so ultimately that Pact Price becomes the price individually paid, the tools and resources that you're including in your quote-unquote elite package, and they would all total out to, and you want to make sure that you give an exact dollar figure for that value. It's very important. Then you're going to reinforce scarcity. You're not going to start selling them on why it is that they should buy this because of the price that you've just laid out. You're going to put it on the table, turn around and walk away from it and start talking about something completely different, which is scarcity. And you're not going to say, well, let me talk about the scarcity of this for a minute. But you are going to make that the focus of your attention at that point by focusing on the lack of time that's available, the lack of seats that are available, or the limited seating that you have, the limited attention that you have available. If everybody's going to be participating in conference calls through the course of your program, you want to make sure that everybody gets your full attention. And in order to do that, the only way that you can really do it effectively is to limit the number of people, so this membership will cut off. You want to reinforce the scarcity of memberships. We only have this many VIP memberships available. You can make charters, which include special benefits like being grandfathered into all of the past videos from your past training programs and things like that. Or you can reinforce the scarcity through bonuses that you've only got a limited number of. And that's a really great way to get action quickly, because if you tell people, here's what the bonuses are, and it is a compelling bonus package, and of course it should be, then you're more likely to be able to get people to take action sooner by having a limited number of bonuses. I'm sure you understand how that makes sense. So then you're going to talk about the here and now. What happens when they buy right now? So an illustration of this would be, as soon as you click the buy button, you'll be taken to a very special welcome video that I've prepared just for you, where I'm going to tell you about how to get around the site, some extras that I've included which I haven't talked about previously, and a special free software tool that you can get right now that will start you off with a serious advantage where creating all of these outcomes that I've been telling you about are concerned. And as soon as you watch that welcome video, Module 1 will be unlocked and ready for you to go. I'm not selling here, and you don't want to. What we've been talking about is what they're going to experience once they actually pull the trigger on this and become members or purchase what it is that you're offering. Now, I talk about the other side of that a little bit too by exploring what does not having this mean to these people tomorrow. So I don't want to tell them, look, if you don't buy this, you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to wish you had. However, I can do that by telling the people that are purchasing what they're going to experience when they wake up tomorrow. And when I do that, the people that are still on the fence, haven't made the commitment to be able to say, yes, I'm going to become a member, they're still considering this. And when you start talking about what these people are going to have access to when they wake up the next day, you're going to get the people that are still thinking about it to take action in larger numbers. So an example of that is just when you wake up tomorrow, you're also going to get an email from me that will unlock a special set of features in the members area that's going to allow you to distribute or whatever it is that you're offering that's going to further support and enhance the experience of the people that it is that you're offering it to. So all of these processes we've been discussing are actually part of the closing process, because what we're doing is basically summarizing what it is that you've been telling them and boiling it down to the point where we're going to start talking about money, and the viewer understands that. So next, we're going to move into helping you understand some different closing variations. And I'm going to start out with just talking about soft closes. And these are closes that you can use if you don't feel like you're a really powerful communicator, but you really want to be able to get connected with the people that are hearing your message. And I don't want to imply by that these soft closes aren't very effective for people that are totally confident in their ability to communicate strongly and effectively. I've seen many of these used by the top marketers that have produced millions and millions of dollars in sales. So don't discount the idea of using soft closes because they're quote unquote soft. They're a very powerful set of tools. So I'm just going to go through a few of them here. One of the soft closes is an invitation lead-in. And what that translates to is, if you X, I want to invite you to Y, whatever Y and X may be. A way of illustrating that would be to say that if you're tired of struggling with this, then I want to invite you to, and then download a free guide or get access to some free videos. Or if you're closing at this point for money, if you are tired of struggling in this way, I want to invite you to take control of your life, like so many others before you have done. I want to invite you to take advantage of this opportunity and recognize that, and you see, you just go into explaining more benefits through that soft close process. And you can begin to see how truly powerful this is just by me ad-libbing off a few lines that illustrate it. Another example of a soft close is the support lead-in. And the support lead-in is framed by saying that you're here to support those people. And I'll illustrate that with this line, which is, if you're one of the people who seriously want to X, then I want to support you by, and then whatever it is that you're offering. So an illustration of that could be, if you're one of the people who's seriously tired of struggling with this challenge and really want to just take control and put it behind you, I want to support you by giving you access to not only the system that I've been talking about, but some special. And so you just continue in from there, again, like I did in the first illustration. Another example of a soft close is the if-then lead-in. If this, then that. And so an example of that would be, if you like Y, then you may want to consider exploring whatever it is that you're offering. So if you like what I've been sharing with you, then you may want to consider exploring this further and at a level that's going to allow you to really, and again, continuing in just as I did before. Then there's the soft close, which is the make a deal lead in. If you were to X, then Y. So if they were to do something, then I'll do something is basically what I'm saying. So if you're to give me 10 minutes of your time would be an example of that. Mike Koenigs is actually the one who I first heard use this from Traffic Geyser, and he was putting together a template for people to use as a sales presentation. And within that template that he provided to people, there was this let's make a deal lead in that I thought was done just so elegantly that I wanted to acknowledge his contribution on that. And so it basically comes down to, look, if you're to give me 10 more minutes of your time, I'd like to give you access to a free report and a video which will show you ABC easy methods for being able to. And so that's a really good close. And you can do that again on getting an email address. In fact, all of the things that you see on this page here, they can be structured for anything that you want. if you're closing to get an email address, if you're closing to get them to sign up for a membership, if you're closing to get them to sign up for a newsletter, if you're closing to get them to sign up for a membership site, whatever it is that you're doing, you can structure these soft closes to be able to lead in, transition, and be able to get to getting the money. So let's keep things moving. If there are soft closes, then there must be hard closes, right? Well, we don't call them hard closes. We call them direct closes. And direct closes are made up of 3 simple questions. If I could, would you? Which would you prefer? And fair enough. The way that these 3 questions can be used is virtually innumerable. And I'll illustrate what I mean. If I could, would you? Well, if somebody asks you a question, and again, you can frame that question as an inquiry if you want, but if somebody directly asks you a question and they're asking you for something that you can provide them with, or it's part of your program, or it's part of your membership system already, you can ask, if I could, would you? And so that's basically a negotiation where you've introduced the idea that they want what it is that you have and that they would take advantage of becoming owners of it if they had that. And so what you're saying is, if I say yes to that, will you become an owner? So if I could, would you is a very powerful tool to be aware of when questions are coming at you. And that can additionally be used in the setting of a webinar where somebody comes in with a question during the webinar and you say, you know, Paula from North Carolina is asking if this includes the XYZ widget. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the XYZ widget, it's a product that I released some time back. And Paula's obviously been around for quite a while, and she's familiar with my past work. This is social proof, so I'm using the question to build a little social proof before I get to the close. And so Paula's familiar with the XYZ widget, and I actually have to tell you, I hadn't considered including that in this package. It's something that I've just sold independently. Now I'm talking about scarcity. It's something that I've just sold independently and really allowed to stand on its own, but it certainly does integrate well with what it is that we're doing here. So let me ask you this, and those of you that are on the webinar right now, let me ask you, if I would include that, is that something that would motivate more of you to get on board and take action and say yes right now and become members? So just type in the chat box and let me know, if I could do that, would that be something that would be compelling to a lot of you? And if enough people say yes right now, I will go ahead and do that, Paula. So, because I think that's really a great suggestion. So that's all just some dialogue that would illustrate how I could use if I could, would you? And this is, again, the kind of a thing where in my live events, we take just this if I could, would you question and work it from multiple angles and show you the various ways that it fits in. Again, just based on the limits of time that I have here and wanting to stay focused on the curriculum, I'm not going to go into great detail about that. I just want you to understand that it is a great direct close and it's something that you should be utilizing. The next direct close is, which would you prefer? So you can use this, again, innumerable ways, but you can say, I've got A and B. Which would you prefer? I have payments or a single time one pay system set up for you, and you can take your choice of whichever you would prefer. We have a standard membership and a charter membership, so when it comes time to make your choice, you can select the one that you most prefer. I could go on with this for as long as I had room to record on my hard drive here. It really fits into innumerable different uses. And then, of course, the third direct close is fair enough, which is just saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do all of that because I want to support you. And since I put all of that together, I'm going to make it available at this price. Fair enough? And then you just stop talking. Now, I'm not suggesting that if you're doing a live event or a webinar, you just stop talking. You do want to continue to engage, but you don't want to say anything after that until such time as the people have had an opportunity to digest it. And then you could follow up with that again with some other element of the processes we've been talking about, which you may already be thinking of, but you could go back into scarcity. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put it up for this price. Is fair enough? And again, I want to remind you that I only have a limited number of these, and because of the way I've structured this program, I know that it will go quickly, so I want to encourage you to, so that's a use of fair enough. Now, Another thing that you can do following your close introduction is to differentiate the reader or listener. And this is something that even highly polished professional salespeople I've seen miss the mark on many, many times in direct live sales circumstances where they're dealing with many clients and dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales volume and in a place where it really truly makes the difference. So differentiating the reader or listener is a process that allows the reader or listener to recognize several things. One is that you know that they're unique individuals with special needs and goals. The other thing that it does is allows the listener himself to be able to differentiate himself from all the other people that are listening as being one of the people that this may best fit for. And that's done by saying, so if you're one of the, and then you continue that statement with whatever it is that you want to build around it. And I'll give you a couple of examples here. So if you're one of the people who have been watching this entire series and getting great use out of the tools and techniques that we've been sharing with you, I want you to recognize that you're the type of person who can most benefit from this training program. In other words, the more that you've gotten out of all of the tools and techniques that we have been sharing with you, the more likely it is that we can help you reach your success faster. And so this is just, again, a way of differentiating the listener or reader and doing it in a way that you're differentiating them as well as they are differentiating themselves from the other people that the message is going out to. Another way that you can do that is to ask them or state to them that if they agree with something that you can present, then that has a differentiating factor. And to illustrate that, I can just tell you that if you agree that to this point you haven't produced the results that it is that you want, and if you agree that it's time to do something about it, then this is your opportunity. And so this is, again, a differentiating factor. So if you agree that. And then another perspective you can approach it from is the if you said, then process. And this is a very powerful technique because all you have to do is think about what it is that your listener or reader or viewer is experiencing through the course of the time you've been delivering your message, and think to yourself what that viewer, what that person, your avatar, what they might be saying to themselves. What are some of the things that they're most likely saying to themselves while you're going through the dialogue that you have been presenting? And once you can nail that down, you just tell them that if they're one of the people that said X, then that means Y. Now, here's an example that'll illustrate how that works. So, if you said to yourself, yes, that all makes sense to me. If you said to yourself, wow, this is the kind of thing that I've been looking for. If you said to yourself, any number of things that I could go on with, then this program is the answer you've been looking for. And it's the answer that's been found by many, many people before you who are in the same exact situation you are right now. Now, I could again continue through innumerable different examples of illustrating how all of these work. You're welcome to come back, and even encouraged certainly to come back and replay the videos and go through these, go through your workbook and toy with some of these ideas while you're scripting out your dialogue so that you can incorporate them and become familiar with them. And that workbook is a great resource. But listen, it's not about having to go back to an encyclopedia of creating compelling messages that you've got by your desk over there, which we call your workbook. It's about getting familiar with these to the degree that they become just an inherent part of your communication and your language, and you look for the opportunities to put them in where they fit appropriately. Now, the if you said and then that I just finished with is a very powerful communications model, just as the other two are. But you see, so if you said then more frequently than you may know, and once you start developing a greater awareness of all of this material, you will start becoming aware of where it shows up for you in your everyday life and the different places that people are utilizing these amazing skills to be able to get others to pay attention to their message. And in fact, Joel Osteen, who I mentioned at the early onset of the program, and I am certainly a fan of, I love Joel's message, his focus of being able to achieve what it is that you want and the incredible success that he has built for himself. So I have a great deal of respect for Joel Osteen, and I am certainly a fan of his mission to be able to change as many lives as he possibly can. And Joel Osteen ends every broadcast with this, so if you said, then communication model. And if you are a fan of Joel, then you already know what I'm talking about. If you're not, basically he asks you at the end of his delivery to say about a 4-line prayer that he guides you through. And then he tells you, now if you just said that prayer with me, then I believe you've been saved. And I want you to do what you can to get to a good Bible-based church. And at the root of that, we find, so if you said, then, as the defining model for how he structured his communication. And that's really a focus that I'm all about. If you haven't picked up on that by now in this program, and my other programs really put a strong focus on understanding the structure of communication, because once you understand the structure of how it is that people communicate, you can make a lot more sense out of your world, and being able to create the things that you want becomes much easier. So as we continue moving forward through this closing process, we're going to look at transferring ownership of the idea or solution. And what that actually means is, I illustrate this frequently by using the idea of a gift, that you're giving somebody a gift and you want them to accept the gift. And so that's what a transfer of ownership is all about here when I'm talking about that, is that we want them to own what it is that we've been putting out. We want them to fully associate to the idea that we're connecting with them specifically, and we want them to take and internalize all of the material that we've been sharing with them so that it now becomes theirs and a part of who they are. And so I'll just show you what I mean with a quick bit of dialogue here that illustrates that idea. For some of you, those who can most benefit from this, while you've been listening to this program, at some point you felt a spark, or you had a light bulb go off in your head, or you heard something inside of you that started shouting, "This is it! This is the answer you've been looking for!" Well, if you have had an experience like that, I want you to understand that, and you continue from there. But the way that this dialogue is structured, it causes people to become owners of the material that you've been putting out, because they have created something in themselves out of what it is that you've offered them. I hope that makes sense. So what I'm saying there is just that you've given them bricks and mortar, but they now recognize that because of their own inherent ability to create, they have taken the bricks and mortar that you've given them and built a structure that they can now see and understand. And they've done it within themselves and on their own. This is a very, very powerful understanding. And so when you follow that up with, if you have had an experience like that, what you're actually implying there is that there is a specific meaning to that. And interestingly, you can make that meaning virtually anything that you want. And in this case, what I want to do is illustrate to them that this is their way of coming to a place where they can make an easy decision. Because ultimately, that's what sales and particularly closing is all about, is you want to make it easy for people that you present your material to be able to make a decision. And the easier that it is to make a yes decision, obviously, the better you'll do in terms of your sales volume. To go through that again really quickly, just so I know that I've illustrated it as clearly as I possibly can, I'll run through that dialogue one more time and then continue into the next slide so you can see how this kind of rolls together. For some of you, those who can most benefit from this, while you've been listening to this, at some point you felt a spark, or you had a light bulb go off, or you heard something inside of you that started shouting, "This is it! This is the answer you've been looking for." Well, if you have had an experience like this, then that's your intuition letting you know that, or then the universe has brought you here and allowed you to have those experiences so that you can really grasp the idea that this is the place that you're going to find the answers you need, those that you've been looking for so hard. Or I could continue it with, that's the part of you that wants you to succeed trying to talk to you, that's setting that light bulb off, or that's making those voices go off, or that's making those feelings appear. It's that part of you that wants you to succeed that brought you here to begin with, and now it wants you to take action. So now what we're doing is making it their decision. Now, I'm certainly selling here and encouraging them to move forward. You will notice I have never told them to pull out their wallet and give me money. I've never told them that they have to give me money. I never told them that they won't get the material unless they give me money. But what I have done is build value. And if you'll remember, that's what this program is all about, is how to package and present value. And that's ultimately what sales closing comes down to, is redemonstrating the value and asking people to give you a commitment for what it is that you're offering. Next, I'd want to give that person an instruction from themselves. And so what I'm actually saying there is that I would give them the opportunity to go inside and give themselves an instruction as to what to do. And I'll illustrate that with this little bit of dialogue, which would continue from the previous dialogue. It just flows together. And I would tell them, so pay attention to that and do this now. Yes, take that action and change the course of your life. Let yourself experience firsthand what it's like to take control of your future and finally discover how to, and then tell them the thing that your avatar most wants. And put an end finally to, and then the thing that your avatar most wants to escape from, once and for all. So I'll go back just a little bit here and walk you through that whole piece of dialogue so that you can see how it flows together and understand how it works. You can follow along, and you should be following along in your workbook to kind of roll this off. Many of you have probably actually beaten me to this process, but for those of you that haven't, I'm just going to run through the last few slides here really quick and show you that dialogue as it rolls together. So, for some of you, those who can most benefit from this, while you've been listening to this, at some point you felt a spark or had a light bulb go off, or you heard something inside of you that started shouting, "This is it. This is it. This is the answer you've been looking for." Well, if you have had an experience like that, then that's your intuition letting you know that you are in the right place and letting you know that you came here for a reason, because all of the tools, techniques, and technology that you're going to need to achieve the goals that you have are right here in this program. And it really comes down to the fact that it's that part of you that wants you to succeed that brought you here to begin with. So pay attention to that and do this now. And take action and change the course of your life. Let yourself experience firsthand what it's like to take control of your future and finally discover how to create the results that you desire and put an end to the suffering and pain that you've been having to deal with every day, once and for all. So you can see how all of that really rolls together into creating some compelling messages that transfer the ownership of the idea or solution, make it their decision, and allow them the opportunity to give themselves an instruction to actually go ahead and purchase what it is that you're offering. So if you've done all of these things, it's time to be done, honestly. And that brings you to closing time. So if you are presenting a sales video letter, or this is a webinar, or a piece of sales copy that is going to direct mail, any variety of different mediums that you're going to be using, it's time to start heading into the wrap up. Now, one of the things that separate a polished presenter from somebody who's, well, just less polished is the fact that they take certain steps along the way to keep the audience or viewer involved with what it is that's going on and letting them know what to expect in advance. So you never just want to tell them, okay, well, that's it. We had a really good show and got a bunch of people on board. So those of you that didn't come on board, good luck to you. And I'll see you all that did purchase in the members area. You don't want to just spring on them that, hey, boom, it's done. You want to introduce your wrap up. So you're going to tell them, you know, we're going to wrap it up soon here. Just be direct about it. And this is your last chance to be able to. And then you can embed a command or suggestion in there that they actually buy. So I just want to let you know that we are heading towards the end here, and we're going to wrap this up soon. I can see people in the members area. See, I just naturally go into starting offering some social proof and scarcity. I can see people in the members area, and I don't really know how many of the bonus packages that we have left at this point, but we are going to be wrapping this up soon. And so this is really your last chance to take action now and get on board with all of the people that have already made the decision to take control of their lives and become members of this program. And I just want to take 1 minute and suggest to you that if you haven't made the decision to say yes right now, but you really do feel compelled to want to take action and become an owner, well, I can only suggest to you that many of the people that I've talked to in the members area over the course of the whole time I've been teaching this program for more than 20 years, the people who get the most out of it are those that are just like you right now. So I hope I have been able to impact you either way. Whether you become a member of this training program or not, I want you to know that your success is important to me, and that's why I took the time to put all of this material together, and I really do hope it's benefited you greatly. So that's introducing the wrap-up and giving some suggestions to them one last time to buy. Again, I'm going to introduce scarcity one more time before I wrap it all up by telling them that I've just wrapped everything up. But before we actually close out the shopping cart, or before we close out this opportunity, or before we give out all of the bonuses, I just wanted to know if there was any other questions, or you can go into something else there, and you can actually re-engage after you've been closing if you choose to. So that takes you through the whole process all the way up to closing. And then here's the thing. If you do re-engage and go through and you take some more questions, or you address some additional objections in the form of questions, then you will sell more people. There is a trade-off point, though, where you're losing credibility and attention spans from people. So it's not like something that you want to keep doing until you feel like you've gotten everybody out of the known universe. You don't need everybody out of the known universe. Once you start marketing in this way, your numbers start to grow almost exponentially, and it happens before you're even really aware of what occurred. So that wraps it up for this section. Again, I did want to give you an overview of the closing process and give you some really useful tools. Go into all of this and much, much more in my sales training programs, my sales closing programs, the 90 sales closes in 90 minutes and closing with credibility programs. So feel free to explore those. If you have not completed any of the exercises in your workbook, go ahead and do that now, and I will see you in the next video.